Big Z Reviews. In Search of Darkness is a documentary about the classic decade of horror, the 80s. And it was kickstarted, and it finally released to the backers, and I really enjoyed it.
80s horror was honest. Most horrifying things that I'd ever seen. Terrific.
It felt like a simpler time. Good and evil, right and wrong.
It's pushing back against a lot of what's happening in the 80s at the time.
Things that people really are afraid to talk about.
Reaganomics, AIDS crisis. I wanted to do a balls-out horror movie.
So this was directed by David A. Weiner, and it includes a cast of, dozens and dozens of people. The very large cast. They have a lot of the actors, the directors, the special effects artists. They have some fans. They have some critics. They have pretty much everyone you would want in this. The only hole that I saw is it's too bad they couldn't get Robert Englund and Jamie Lee Curtis. Those are probably two of the biggest actors that they don't have. And of course you have some directors and stuff that are dead. But they have the cast they do have for these interviews are really excellent. And then the way that they crafted this documentary or this exploration of horror was put together really well. It is long. It's not a movie length. It's this could have easily been split into episodes. I don't know if they ever go streaming to Netflix or anything. I could either see adding more stuff and making it into 5 episodes or something like that. 5-6 episodes. But what they do have this it is and the two, if you watch too much of it at one time, I wouldn't recommend watching it all at once because it gets to be a little too much. But I split it into 3 nights, watched it hour and a half each night, and that really kept it fresh, and I really enjoyed it. And I will say that I liked it. It was really, it goes into year by year, pretty much all of the movies from the 80s, all the horror movies. And it goes in between each year. They have a little feature where they talk about some asset, some part of the horror movies of the 80s. And I like how that works. I will say though, sometimes it just feels like they have to go, okay, we have to do this one now, we have to do that one now, we have to do that one now. That's the only thing that's not great about it, but I like that they did that because there are a lot of movies that I haven't seen or in the 80s and I want to go check out, especially the earlier 80s, so the bigger ones I've all seen. I know my brother is a couple years older than me, and I watched a lot of horror movies when I was a kid with him, probably younger than I should have, and I love them all, but I grew up kind of on a lot of those 80s horror movies, and it's great to see, some more stuff about them, it's just especially the ones that I didn't know about. I think I wouldn't have minded that if some of the ones, if they went more in depth into them, but I think, again, though, then it would be a documentary about that exact movie, and a lot of movies, they couldn't really do that for a lot of the smaller ones, and I like that they spent some time on every one. And it's funny, a couple of times there's the directors of the first film threw shade on the directors of the second film, the sequel, something that they didn't like what they did with it. They a couple of times the director threw shade on them. That's kind of funny. And I like to one of my favorite YouTubers is Good Bad Flicks. He's a smaller YouTuber, not huge, but he does a lot of video essays on a lot of older films, especially focused on horror, but a lot of other stuff too. And he was one of the interviewees or commentators or whatever in the movie Cecil from Good Bad Flicks. It's funny, in his videos he's never shown his face, so the first time you ever see his face is in the documentary, and he did really well. And I think they used him well too, because there are a couple even lesser known movies from the 80s that he had a lot more to say something about, but they may not have had enough B-roll for people talking about a specific movie, so he kind of filled in that gap really well. As a whole, I just really enjoyed it. it was an interesting to see this documentary done like this and see all the different horror movies of the '80s and a little bit more information about them and seeing the lots. It's great because they had a lot of directors and you got a little background stuff. You got some info on some of the movies, and I think it's really worth a watch. I think it's kind of still in the pre-order phase. I think that they opened it more now for other people. You can still watch it now, or you can pre-order the Blu-ray. Even though I had kickstarted it a year ago, something like that. But that's actually because I saw it, in the Good Bad Flicks. He was advertising for it because he was part of it. And it's great that this is definitely not a Kickstarter failure because it turned out really great. I thoroughly enjoyed it and would definitely recommend it. Especially if you're a fan of '80s horror. There's a lot of stuff here that will fill in your gaps of knowledge. And like I said, I have 7 or 10 films that I want to watch after seeing this that I missed, or I want to see again. Especially it's been a long time since I saw Hellraiser, and I just haven't gotten back to it in a while. And I see they had a lot of stuff about the Hellraiser 1 and 2, and it looks really interesting. I want to see that again. I think I remember more of the later sequels when they kind of went crazy, And there's a lot of other horror movies too that I want to check out from that era that I may have missed. It's a thoroughly enjoyable documentary. I guess it's kind of a documentary. It's kind of more an exploration of '80s horror. But I probably give it a 9 out of 10. I would definitely recommend it. But thanks for watching. As you get a video playlist on my head, and subscribe to me at Z over there. Thanks. This has been a Big Z movie review. Thanks for watching.